episode 11 of Unbashful. As always, I'm excited for another week, another opportunity for me to sit in front of this mic and in front of this camera and talk about the things that I love, and we're going to do that once again today. Now, the title of this episode is Will Life Go Back to Normal? And that's going to relate a lot to COVID, and we're going to be talking about stuff like that. But first of all, thanks for coming back
no problem.
on the show, man. I appreciate you coming back. For those of you who don't know, this is my friend Shezwin Carim. I had him on about 4 or 5 episodes ago. We talked about some Halloween scary movies and stuff, and he has given his time to come back today.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some things, some cool topics. But before we get into the main topics, let's get into that Spider-Man trailer. What are your
It was great.
What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Can you just sit, can you? I just get you a little bit closer. Yeah.
It was pretty good. I thought everything about it was expected. You know, I heard through my brother that there was a big dispute between Sony and Marvel of like them wanting to show the characters of
problem. Sorry.
Yeah,
you're good.
yeah. Toby's and
yeah, there we go.
And Andrew's respective Spider-Mans, and I personally knew they weren't going to show it just because I had a feeling that Marvel, you know, they like keeping things secret, and it makes sense why they would do what they did in the trailer. They even showed it in like Spider-Man, like Sony Brazil in the Spider-Man trailer when it released there, that even Lizard got imaginary kick to his face. And everyone knew from that alone, like, they edited out the Spider-Mans, like, you can kind of tell. But yeah, the trailer was sick, seeing all those villains return. It was pretty cool. It's great to see everything. Yeah, I'm excited for the movie. I wasn't blown away by the trailer like everyone else, because it's what I kind of expected, right? It was kind of what I thought I was going to see, you know, just more showcase of, like, what's more to come, but nothing too big. But it was a good trailer. I'm not going to probably watch any more trailers just to keep everything, you know, new to me, and I want to be like genuinely surprised when I see things. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the trailer.
Yeah, I agree. But one thing also, here I think I'm sitting a little too close. Obviously, like, everybody's talking about the misedit with Lizard and him clearly being punched by something that's not there. But if you also look at like the shot, the villains in the shot, some of them, like, Electro is jumping above Spider-Man. Yeah. The only villain that is going in the direction of Tom Holland is Sandman.
Yeah.
If you look at, like, obviously Lizard and then Electro, they're moving in, like, opposite directions. So that also is a big indicator to me that, like, they're supposed to be other people in that shot.
Who was in that shot again? It was Sandman,
Electro, Lizard. Yeah.
So there's no Green Goblin. Right?
No.
I know there's another Goblin in the trailer. No,
I actually think that's still Willem Dafoe, because you know how a lot of the set pieces have shown Willem has like the green suit. I don't know if you've seen this, but he has like the green suit and he has like this purple scarf around him. Somebody tuned up the saturation and the contrast on that photo, and you can actually see that like it's him wearing that suit with like the goggles and the purple rag around his neck. I for a sec thought it was James Franco's Harry Osborn.
You think so?
From Spider-Man 3, but I don't. I think it's...
He's been canceled so many times.
Well, yeah, that's also another thing that came up to me, all the, you know, sexual assault allegations he's involved with.
Which is obviously rightfully, you know...
Well, obviously, he shouldn't be any movie. He shouldn't be in any pictures right now.
That's done, whatever, and then figure out...
He's fucked. It's crazy with that. Like, Seth Rogen and, like, all of his... you know, well-known castmates have actually come out and said, like, he's like a creepy dude. He's like a weird dude.
He came off I don't know, those vibes. Like, I watched that movie, it's Spring Breakers. Right?
Yeah, I kind of get, like, Ted Bundy vibes with him. Yeah, like, handsome dude, kind of a crowd pleaser, but he looks like he's got, like, a dark side to him. Kind of like what's going on with Armie Hammer.
Yeah.
With the whole, like, cannibalism shit and all that.
Well, to our knowledge, he hasn't done anything, so...
What's that?
To our knowledge, he hasn't done anything. Like, other than say that he wants to eat some of his girlfriends, he's never actually like committed any of the crimes.
Yes, that's technically true.
Be a weird guy. I think that's
but nonetheless, I think it's gonna cost him some jobs.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I mean, it's still some pretty fucked up shit. Just like texting a person saying you want to like eat them, and furthermore, he's doing it for like self gratification and like sexual pleasure. That's even more strange in my opinion, but.
I don't know. He's a good actor too. It's unfortunate.
But he's a great actor. I loved him. Yeah. I still haven't seen what's that movie called with him and Timothy Chalamet? Your brother talks about it all the time. Yeah, I do want to watch that at some point.
It's a good movie. I watched like half of it and I fell asleep.
I saw like the first half, like they're doing the world building of like his family.
Yeah.
They don't live in Italy, right? They're just
they're just going there for
they're just visiting, yeah. And then Armie Hammer's character is like what is his purpose again?
I haven't watched it in a while, to be honest. Like something to do with like studies or something. Like
some kind of research.
He's a law student. He's a student or a professor or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, Timothy Chalamet's dad's like a professor. And
yes.
He's like TA, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Or like a student that he's brought along with him.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I think so.
I do want to watch it. It's a very beautiful, like, looking film too. It makes me want to like go to Italy. But yeah, overall, I thought the trailer was really good. Do you think we're gonna get another one, or do you think that's gonna be it?
It's gonna be like the Eternals type thing where
the final trailer, as they title it sometimes.
Short TV spots. So I think that's what we're gonna get.
I mean, TV spots is a given.
Yeah, maybe like 2 weeks before. Maybe like 2 weeks before the movie comes out, we're gonna get an actual trailer, like one with the other Spider-Man. But to be honest, I don't think so.
No, I
don't think so.
I mean, I've told you, but I listen to John Campiola. He's another podcaster, and he raised a good point. He said that if he believes that Toby and Andrew are going to be in the movie, they will put them in the trailer. Like, if they are in the movie, they'll put them in the trailer just based off of just, like, selling tickets. Like, it's a valid point because, yes, if you put Toby and Andrew in the trailer, that would, like, ticket sales would, the records would probably be made. Like, all the tickets probably would have been purchased.
I believe that theory, but it's also Marvel. They like
exactly
secrets, right? Like they teased Hulk being in Infinity War and he was barely in it, right? They tease they do a lot of teasing and things don't end up being true or like the
Marvel uses like a lot of deception with their trailers.
Yeah,
like I remember with the first Endgame trailer, it showed Nebula running toward Thanos on what looked like Earth, but that same shot was actually them going to meet Thanos at like the garden. I don't know if you remember that, but like garden, they love to change things in the trailers to sort of keep audiences thinking otherwise.
Like same with Professor Hulk, right? They didn't.
Well, yeah, I mean we didn't even see him.
Yeah, no one thought he'd be Professor. That was such a big. That's crazy. Yeah. Anyways, the trailer was cool. I think you might be right here though. Like they're probably not going to do another trailer, right? Is that what you said?
I mean they might. I don't think we're gonna get like a full blown trailer like this again. I think what we might get we might get another trailer, but I don't think it's gonna be another like 2.5 minute trailer. I think it'll probably just be like 40 to 60 seconds.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I think it's gonna be like a TV spot.
Yeah,
That's what makes the most sense. Yeah, TV spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're gonna get.
But I think like with that shot, it just basically puts the nail in the coffin. I think they're definitely in this film, especially.
They are. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and with that photo, I'm sure you saw that photo.
I saw leaks. All leaks, but I've seen like enough where I don't want to go on Twitter and look up anything Spider-Man related ever again. Mm-hmm. I've seen like pretty much. I've seen all 3 Spider costumes. I've seen Willem Dafoe in costume. Mm-hmm. I've seen like the Daredevil thing, right? And I'm hyped. Charlie Cox.
I don't think he's in it.
He's in it.
No, he's not.
It's an actual official shot with him in it.
There's an official shot. Oh, I saw that shot. To me, that shot kind of looks fake. I could be wrong.
It looks so legit, bro. It looks insanely. And I think they wouldn't, because they even announced they're doing a Daredevil. Like I think it's not been announced. Sorry, but it's
nothing's been announced for his character.
It's been like rumored, right? That they're in talks of making a return.
I'm sure they are.
That's the best one.
I mean, like, look, I'm not gonna fall out of my seat if he does show up. I just don't think so. Like, let's talk about the possibility of like some other people coming out. Like, what do you think? Like, what about Morbius?
No.
You don't think so?
I think they're gonna. Well, I don't know. Right now.
I don't think so either.
The deal that Sony has is only Venom. They might I don't know. They might want to bring Morbius in, but right now the only person from that Sony universe is Venom. That's it. Literally.
But how though? Because they're using all the previous Marvel properties with the other villains. So if they're doing that, they probably have grounds to use Morbius.
I think Marvel has grounds, but I don't think they want to use Morbius.
Yeah, that's true.
Because even right now, like Sony's current deal is only Spider-Man. They haven't talked about Morbius, right? It's been pretty much just Spider-Man. Well,
yeah, Marvel has the production rights, so they can make the films, but Sony has the distribution rights. So they get to decide for the solo films at least. The Avenger films, obviously, that's a different story. But
I think they don't want to bring because their clauses, right? I'm pretty sure their clauses they want Spider-Man to be part of Venom's universe, like show in a Venom movie.
Yeah.
And Venom, I think they probably discussed Venom being part of the MCU, and now I think he is.
I think Venom is going to be in No Way Home.
Yeah, I think he's. You think he's going to be in it?
I think he's going to, because there's a photo of Tom Hardy. Now this could just be a stretch, but there's a photo of Tom Hardy like sitting down wearing like a Spider-Man No Way Home hat, but it looks like the same hats that people on like the set, like the production crew get to wear. That could be, that could be a reach, but
I think he might be like teased,
and especially with the post-credit scene.
Like that's what I mean, like post-credit scene. I think that's what he's gonna be in. I don't think he's gonna be like a big part, because I think
that's true.
I think this is the final Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, no.
Like because I think Marvel does their things in 3, except for like Thor, but I think Thor's an anomaly because
because his franchise completely
flipped. It flipped
after the second movie.
It was the worst, and now it's building up to be like considered one of the better, like in terms of quality, because you're getting Taika Waititi, bro. Like, he's not a he makes good movies, right? So and no discredit. What's the name again? Like no discredit towards the first 2 directors.
The first Thor, the first one. I like the first Thor. That was Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh.
I don't know who directed the second one. Was it Kenneth Branagh? I don't think it was.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The first one I thought was just like a regular MCU movie, like what you'd expect.
I enjoyed it, but I mean, the blonde eyebrows.
It was weird as hell.
Just wasn't it. Wasn't it for me.
That like the MCU, like the Thor series, that's basically a reboot. Like that,
pretty much like a soft reboot, not like
hard one,
Yeah, not a hard reboot. Like not forgetting what happened.
Yeah,
but,
it's. I think they're gonna have two more movies, to be honest, with this Thor, because it's just it's a no-brainer,
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Like a 5th one?
Because he's also young. Chris Hemsworth is like not that old.
Yeah, I mean like he's 38, but I mean we've seen, ages. I mean look at Hugh Jackman, guy's like 50.
Yeah.
And he's not playing Wolverine anymore, but when he did Logan, when he did Logan, he was pretty old. So Chris Hemsworth can easily continue playing that character for probably another 10 years.
And I think Disney has a contract, even a longer. He's releasing a new show with National Geography.
He re-upped with them.
Or whatever. And he's making his own show, and I think he's like in the long run going to be part of the Disney universe in general.
Yeah.
Like, he might even show up in other shows in Disney, But let's go back to the trailer was sick. I think it was good, but it wasn't like insane.
I've heard some people, it wasn't insane. Now, like, obviously the most exciting part of the trailer was the end. I'll be honest, most of the trailer didn't really have me very, like, like, it didn't change how I felt. I'm obviously already excited until, like, the very end. Like, up until then, the trailer was just kind of, like, mid. But what I thought was really interesting was with what happened with Doc Ock. Is he going to be more of, like, a supporting character in the aspect of, like, he's going to help them find the other villains? You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's 2 things I want to talk about Doc Ock. Is that, first of all, I think like the same thing came to my mind is like, is he gonna be like a supporting character? And I think he is. Yeah. Because I think he might remember. I don't know if he does, because there's a lot of holes when it comes to this. Because what we know is even Doctor Strange said it himself. Like these are people who have died.
Fighting Spider-Man,
closest because of Spider-Man, right?
It's their fate, is what he says,
fate, right? Except for Sandman. I don't understand why Sandman, he didn't die. He lived.
Yeah.
He lived, and then that's it. Jamie Foxx.
Did he die? I can't even.
No, remember he faded away. Like
and he's sand.
Top, right? He just faded away. But I don't remember. I haven't watched Amazing Spider-Man 2 in a while, but I don't remember if Jamie Foxx died.
No, he didn't.
He didn't die.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and then the 2 other characters like Doc Ock and Green Goblin, they did die, but how are they? How are they alive? Which is.
Those are questions. I'm sure, like, the movie is going to answer those questions. There's no way they're going to, like, just leave those unanswered. But those are valid questions.
Yeah, and I do think what you said is right. Once they realize that they're not, like... I think he realizes that that's not his Spider-Man, right? And I think that things change, because why would he just attack an innocent person? Because he's a person that he doesn't know, right? So... And
that's like, another thing that further just, like, to me, solidifies that at least Toby's going to be in the film, is when he looks at Tom Holland, he says, "You aren't Peter Parker."
You're not Peter
so they're
Parker,
clearly acknowledging that, like, another Peter Parker exists beyond Tom Holland.
And then did you see this too? Like, when they were fighting before they showed this in the scene, but you could see like red specks in his arm in Doc Ock's arm, and they even showed later on in his trailer, like I think the octopus arms. What do they call it? Like,
I don't know. The tentacles or right? something. I don't. That's a squid.
They were able to get some of the tech off Peter Parker's gear, or Tom Holland's Peter Parker's Iron Man suit. I assume.
Yep.
Well, they're probably gonna explain it, but it's I assume it's nanotech, right? Because they said it in the first one, right? In Infinity War, I think it's nanotech, and I'm pretty sure that his arms can actually learn other technology and infuse itself, right?
Because he's looking at them as if they almost have a mind of their own in the trailer.
What is this, right? But they're the ones who are taking it. That's pretty cool, though. I like that.
One theory that I have, and I've actually heard this going around too, if you look closely towards Electro in the trailer, it almost looks like he has an arc reactor in his chest.
I think he does, right?
And I think they're going to use a lot of what the main villain from the second Iron Man, I think he's going to sort of use the kind of same functions and materials that he used. You remember from the dude with the electric whatever fucking Whiplash, yeah, that's his name.
I love that villain. When I was a kid, I loved that villain.
Yeah, I did too.
A lot of people hated Iron Man 2 or thought it was kind of mid. I actually liked Iron Man 2 a lot when I was a kid.
I don't mind it. I did not like Iron Man 3.
Oh, you did not like
Iron Man 3? I didn't like Iron Man 3.
I thought Sherrod loves that movie. I don't like it as much too.
No. I mean, to each his own. It's not my cup of tea. I don't know. That's the one when he meets the little kid, right?
Yeah.
That ends up going to the funeral, yeah.
And then Tony has PTSD from the wormhole.
Yeah, that part I thought was cool. The touch on the mental health aspect and showing how it could affect even a superhero.
A man so confident.
Yeah, like Tony Stark of all people, the guy, yeah. I've heard some people. Now I don't believe this whatsoever. Now we all know. For those of you who don't know, Aaron Taylor Johnson has been cast as Kraven the Hunter. I've heard some people saying that they think he'll show up. Nah, I think that's a stretch.
No,
it's possible, of course, but
it's just too early. It's
too early. Yeah,
it's too late for them to add him, and it doesn't make sense to add him right now.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know. What are they doing him? What are they using him for?
Well, he's gonna get his own solo film, kind of like what Venom did. They're doing they're trying to build that universe. Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. I thought it was a.
Oh yeah, no, he's been cast as Kraven the Hunter. He's getting his own film.
With Sony?
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah, they're continuing to just build that little spider universe. What do they call the spunk? I think they call it. That's the acronym. Sony. I don't know. There's some you know how people say the MCU?
Yeah.
There's some new name that describes the Sony universe. I forget the name. Do you think there's going to be any sort of big surprises in the film? Do you think there's going to be any other than the two highlights that we all expect, Toby and Andrew? Do you think there's going to be any?
Kang, maybe.
Kang, yeah, that's possible. Very possible, actually.
I'm thinking about Eternals. No, that's the farthest. I think maybe, but no, I don't.
I don't think so.
I think right now it's gonna be cosmic for them because what we saw. Well, no spoilers right here. But at the end of Eternals, they have left Earth, and even the other characters who were on Earth, they were taken by Isham. Airsham. Yeah. Airsham took them. They're gone. So there is no Eternals on Earth right now, and. Yeah, it wouldn't. Honestly, like I said earlier, that they might be in the movie, but honestly, I think they're going cosmic. I don't think they're.
I hope they go cosmic. Those are my favorite kind of MCU films. I love the cosmic films. They're really going deep in the comics right now.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Even with even when they created the Marvel back in the day, Steve Ditko and the thing
Stanley.
Yeah. They start off earthly in terms of what the characters are
grounded.
Grounded, right? And then they just decided to go crazy with Doctor Strange in the 70s or whatever it was, and they went crazy from on there. So yeah, I think that's what they're doing now is they've gotten their their fan base, this new fan base that's been established with previous Marvel heroes, and now they can try doing experimental things, right? What they've been doing these past couple MCUs are pretty much really experimental, right?
Yeah. We're gonna pause right there and we're gonna come right back. All right, so we're back. And I think one thing that we should consider as well is that Doctor Strange's movie is going to be coming right after that. I feel like Spider-Man No Way Home is actually going to be a segue for the Multiverse of Madness, like what's going to happen in that film. So I think it's possible we can maybe see WandaVision or WandaVision.
Honestly,
Scarlet Witch.
I think this movie is gonna be like a tie of like, or like a inner cross of things. Like, for example, I think before like shit hit the fan in like back a couple phases ago was Civil War, and in Civil War they like that's like the culmination of like a bunch of shit happening and stuff like that, and
when she blew up the hospital.
Yeah, it's like a what's the word called, like when all those paths cross, right?
Interpersonal, is that what you're saying?
No. I think the word is just paths all cross.
Yeah.
That's when all their paths crossed, and it was kind of like Avengers plus Black Panther, right? But it was also their whole, like, the government and everything, and, you know? This one, I would say it's kind of giving off the same vibe, right? But also not at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, you think maybe a big thing, it is a big thing, first of all, it is. Like, the whole is you're talking about cosmic here, right?
Yeah.
All these things happening, but yeah, what I was trying to say is that, like, is this what I see in other characters? No, I think we're gonna see, like, the most we could see probably is like I don't think Wanda. I think Wanda's next movie. Like what you said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's in them. She's co-starring.
She's already in it, right?
That's why I mentioned it. I was like, maybe. But
yeah, maybe.
Probably not. No,
I don't think so. I think like maybe the coolest character you could probably get is like maybe government officials.
Yeah.
Them wanting to know like what's it called, like from WandaVision?
Jimmy Woo.
Yeah, Jimmy Woo, right? Jimmy Woo, but I don't think so. Like Shang-Chi is busy right now. Not busy, but right now they're hanging out. Actually, maybe Shang-Chi.
He could, but I think he's sort of getting his introduction to the Avengers.
Yeah.
Because that's what they joke about, like, welcome to the circus. That's what Mark Ruffalo says. He might. I mean, it's possible. I do feel like beyond the two, you know, Toby and Andrew, because I do believe they're in it, but I think beyond them, I think we will get one big surprise that we aren't expecting.
I also think Charlie Cox,
don't know who.
Charlie Cox is in it.
You think so?
I believe 100% that he's in it.
Over, under 50%. What do you think? You taking over or you taking under?
Over.
Over 50?
Yeah.
I'm going well below 50. Really? I don't think he's in it.
Okay, yo.
I'm not going to go 0%. Like, if he... Okay, I'll probably go like 30.
I think there's no way he's not in it. It just makes sense because are those... If you watched any of those shows?
No, I haven't. But, like, yeah, I heard that from a narrative standpoint, it would make sense because...
Yeah, he's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer, yeah.
Where he's in New York, right? All those guys in New York, but those shows, like, the best shows, in my personal opinion, of the Marvel Netflix TV show one was Daredevil and Punisher. And Jessica Jones. The other Luke Cage was like okay, and Iron Fist was not that good. It was not good at all, to be honest, and the casting was poor. But anyways, like those shows were so good, and I hope they bring them back. And I do think Daredevil's coming back, and Charlie Cox is a great Daredevil. So
I need to watch that show.
It's really good. There's like some one take action scenes where it's all just one shot, one take. It's insane. We do it every season once at least, and it's so cool. Like. I love that show. It's really good. Same with Punisher. I think John Bernthal is sick as Punisher. It's crazy. Those shows are good, and I hope they comes back. But I don't think anyone except for like Charlie Cox and the old Spideys and maybe Scarlet Witch. Maybe I don't think so, but I don't know. I don't see her coming in. I just pretty much see the other guys coming in, like the ones that we expect. I don't. Maybe the Skrull. Maybe the Skrull, but I don't know. I don't think so.
I've also heard rumors. Now I tend to believe this more. I've heard a lot of rumors that he's actually going to be a character in She-Hulk.
She-Hulk? That makes sense.
I believe that more.
That makes sense, to be honest.
Than Spider-Man No Way Home. But like I said, it is possible. Two more things before we get into the main, just the meat and potatoes, if you will, of today's episode. So where I think the MCU is going, I believe that the next Avengers film, now I could be completely wrong, but I believe the next Avengers film is going to revolve around the Avengers defeating the Celestials, or at the very least, Arishem.
Celestial? Oh, Celestial.
One of the Celestials, yeah. I could be wrong.
Do you think those are the, you know, like the Avengers 1 villains and the Avengers 2 villain, like not the big like minions and pawns and one mate crazy.
Are you asking if I think they're big enough to be in Avengers?
Do you think that these ones are like the building blocks, or like the mini bosses of compared to?
That's a good question.
Do you think the Celestials are equivalent to what's his name? The guy who eats the worlds up. He was in the Fantastic Four.
Doctor Doom? No.
No.
I'm tripping.
The big guy.
Oh, Galactus. Well, I think this could be sort of a stepping stone to that, possibly.
If they can be... Honestly, though, I don't see them being an actually a celestial so OP, yo. They have so much power.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think...
I don't see them, like...
You don't see them being an Avengers.
Who can beat them? Who can be a celestial? The only person is maybe Kang, because Kang was the only one who could see the flow of time and actually do that.
I think it is possible, because if we look at the end of Eternals, they put... Is it Teamu? Is that the name of the celestial that was in Harvesting an Earth?
Gold.
But the Eternals alone defeated one of them.
Yeah, but it wasn't like an actual defeat. It was more or less like stopping him from being...
Well, yeah, actually... That's fair.
Like stopping him from being born is a little bit different than like actually.
That's true, because it didn't even get a chance to like actually fight back.
This guy being born destroys the world.
Yeah. That is crazy.
That's the severity, right? I don't think they can actually be. The only person that actually has the power to do so is Doctor Strange, technically, and
to defeat a Celestial.
Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch, I think so. No one else does, right?
Or Cersei as well. I mean, because she could become even more powerful. I would also maybe say Captain Marvel. Possibly.
The reason why is that Captain Marvel's powers are so finite, like not finite, but there's a ceiling for them, right? What we see is what we get in terms
that
of
is true.
What we witness
but what you see is what you get is extremely fucking good.
Yeah, like
arguably the most powerful.
And she can fly. She can shoot fire beams out of her. Like she's pretty OP. But Doctor Strange, like he doesn't have a ceiling. Same with Scarlet Witch of like how powerful he can get. Like he can master the arts and he's done that. But he can do even more. Like
he can continue to get even better.
They explore it in the What If series. I don't. Have you watched it or not?
I haven't seen a single episode. So I don't know.
There's one episode where it's what if he never got over the death of her. It's just in this episode he doesn't end up getting injured. It's
like with the car accident.
Yeah, it's his girlfriend. What's her name? Not girlfriend, but his
Rachel Adams.
Yeah, Rachel Adams' character. She ends up getting hurt, and she like dies in the car crash, and he lives.
Oh damn!
And then the whole episode is him trying to get her back, right? And it's obviously comic, but everything in the comics like is kind of what's drawn as inspiration. Like in dark magic, you can kind of absorb other people's powers with the Cthulhu's help. Or is it Cthulhu? What is his name again?
Chthon.
Huh?
Chthon, is that what you're talking about?
No, the big villain, like the guy who's like Dormammu.
Oh, okay, never mind. Chthon is someone completely different.
Cthulhu is also an alien. An alien.
Okay, I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but I thought, what's his name? Cthulhu. I thought that's the character that gives Moon Knight his power, or it's another character's name that starts with a K.
The only thing I could think of with Cthulhu is like that.
By the way, I'm so fucking excited for Moon Knight.
Yeah,
not to interrupt you. That little snippet of Oscar Isaac.
Sick. Oscar Isaac,
with his British accent. Yeah. I can't tell the difference between my work and life.
No, he's sick. Have you read about Moon Knight or no?
I've read a little bit. I know he has like a split personality disorder, which I find like very interesting. That seems like a character that has like a lot of depth and not just your normal textbook hero that we're used to seeing.
So like, just to finish up about the.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to.
We're talking about the.
My bad, I totally cut you off. We were talking about Doctor Strange's What If episode.
Oh yeah, so he has the ability to like absorb other beings and get their power, and like he has a ceiling of like he has no ceiling, and he can get as powerful, and he can get too powerful enough that he can end up causing the destruction of our universe. So yes, I think he has the ability to actually stop them. And Scarlet Witch, if you've seen her, what she can do. She can change reality, so I think she can.
Well, now she's one of the top tier characters in terms of like ability.
So yeah. Anyways, now we can talk about Moon Knight. Moon Knight's like I think I've been waiting for Moon Knight for a while. I've seen him before in like.
I am so excited.
In like some animated shows.
Yeah.
It was a Spider-Man the Spider-Man show with Drake Bell voicing as Spider-Man. One of the episodes like they showcased Moon Knight, and Moon Knight's character is sick. Like after that, I ended up looking up some more stuff about him. And he's just a great character, like in terms of like the depth, right? Like what they decided to explore with, how he doesn't even know when he's the actual Moon Knight. Like he's just out there. Yeah,
that's really cool.
He wakes up and he doesn't even know what he did, you know, because he's like possessed by the spirit of the Moon God, I think. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
The Moon God has like a name, I think, and it starts with a K. That's why I was confused. I'm probably wrong with Kaluuya. It almost sounds like you're saying Kaluuya, like David Kaluuya.
Yeah. No, Cthulhu's like a. It's like a
Cthulhu. Cthulhu.
Cthulhu's like a alien monster god.
Yeah.
You've seen him before. He's like they mentioned him in Black Ops 3.
Wait, they mentioned it in Call of Duty?
Yeah, I remember Cthulhu, the god. Like they talk about Cthulhu because those aliens that you see, the Margwas, they're from like Cthulhu.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Good memory.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
I remember that now, but fuck,
that was
took me a second.
That was like I think inspired by Cthulhu and like that whole mystifying universe. I forget the actual name of the actual writer of the book, but he's John Carpenter. He just directed the thing, right? He didn't write the thing.
I don't know.
Well, I forget the name, but the guy who made It, I think It.
Like, like with the clown, Stephen, are you talking about the author?
Yeah.
Stephen King,
Stephen King, he's the one who made that stuff up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
I think so. I think.
Okay, when does it come out? I assume it's going to come out next year.
They announced the lineup on Disney Plus Day, and it's all for like the next 2 years.
I saw that.
So, next year, excited.
I was so disappointed when I heard the news about that new Spider-Man TV show.
It's animated, yeah. I like animated, so I can watch it.
Yeah. Like, I know you do, but...
Yeah.
It's not really that it's animated, it's how they explained it. They first were like, oh, this is going to show, Peter Parker's, sort of origin story, if you will, to how he became Spider-Man, yada, yada. It's going to be canon to the MCU. And then they're like, but it's animated. And then I was just like, it sounded too good to be true. I was like, there's no way Tom Holland after No Way Home is the first thing he's going to do is a Disney Plus series. You know what I'm saying?
That would be cool, though, if he did.
It would be cool, but, yeah. I also heard Ethan Hawke is going to be the main antagonist of Moon Knight, so that sounds pretty good.
Ethan Hawke is a great actor, so I'm excited.
Overall, I'm not somebody that knows a lot about the character of Moon Knight, but just like the little research I've done, he just looks really cool with the whole, like I said, the split personality disorder, and not to like glorify mental health in any way. Like anybody that struggles with that, like it's terrible, but I think for the purposes of like that character, I think it's very interesting. So
and I like grounded heroes, right? I'm a big fan of that's why I kind of like sometimes. Not even sometimes. I just prefer the Iron Man and Captain America, where it's just like it's just earthly things you're dealing with.
I do to an extent.
Like that's sort of my favorite because it's just like it's more realistic. I can relate to them, but this is my issue with the Eternals is like they're gods and you have to kind of relate to them. And that's like the one issue I deal with is they've lived out eternity on Earth, right? They've seen everything, and seeing them any other way is kind of hard.
Through Babylon, Mesopotamia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to actually relate to them is a hard thing. That's the issue you run into by creating such godly characters. And you can try your best to make them, a human-like, but it's hard. I think the only character I liked a lot was probably, like, who I thought I related to a lot, and I think was pretty cool was, I only know his name from Atlanta, like the TV show with Paperboy, but it was like the guy, the black bald guy. He's gay, and he like says, "I'm not helping out humans anymore." Oh,
like the sort of engineer of the Eternals, the guy who creates the atomic bomb. Well, not creates it, but gives him the tools.
Yeah, like, I forget his name.
The name of the actor, I don't even know. The name of the actor,
he was in Joker too. He's a really good actor.
He is a really. I'm starting to see him in more stuff.
He's actually really funny, and he was. I first found about him through Atlanta, like Childish Gambino's show. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool, and like watching that and seeing him like grow as an actor. But yeah, like that. The one issue about Eternals is that I could not really relate to anyone, but his was the best. Like I can't even imagine he had to go through the Nazi era. He had to go through all
the terrible parts of history with slavery, racism and shit. All I mean, racism still exists, but I mean
the worst part of it, he had to go with that stuff. Like I can't even imagine. And then to put on top of that, I don't know exactly what sexualities of all the characters are, but I assume that he's gay in the show, in the movie, right?
Yeah, I think he is. He's got a
yeah. So I think that's his actual sexuality, and to be
that's okay. No worries.
To be like a black gay man right now is a hard thing, right? So I relate to that in terms of like humanity-ish, right? And seeing the way he reacts to the idea of helping out humanity, right? And opening up his heart because now he has a kid and husband, right? That's the only character I like, to be honest, because that's like the most earthly, grounded character. But the other ones are whatever. Sorry,
you were saying?
Eternals, hard characters to really relate to. I only found him I was able to relate to him just because like I'm also a colored person, so like trying to imagine like another colored person, like what they've gone through in their lives, and I've never actually obviously been in a situation like slavery, but learning about it, it's horrible, and I can't imagine like kind of watching it unravel from beginning to end, right? And you can't do anything about it.
Well, yeah, because they can't interfere, right? Because the rules of Ereshkigal is unless deviants are involved, so they have to witness these terrible events like the Holocaust, like slavery, like all these genocides that we've seen. Like we have to witness terrible things, but we can't intervene, and that's why Druig, that character, he's so upset, and you could get behind it because he even says
I
like
like Druig too, though.
I do like Druig.
Because I would react the same way, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right? If I actually had the power to do what he was able to do, I would do the same thing. And it would just like, can't believe
I could change this in a heartbeat, or that sounded Australian. God.
Irish.
Or is he Irish or Scottish? I can't tell. I like his accent though.
I think he's both. No, I think he's Scottish. I think he's Irish.
Yeah.
What's his name? Steve Madden? No, that's Steve Madden's fucking
Richard Madden. Yeah, Steve Madden's the guy that makes fucking shoes. Yeah,
Richard Madden. He's like Irish.
Bro, I love Richard Madden. He's such a good actor. I will always recommend people to watch The Bodyguard. So and I'm doing that right now. For those of you who haven't seen The Bodyguard on Netflix,
you should go watch it.
Watch The Bodyguard. So fucking good.
When it came out, and it was just because like I saw someone like singing it or something like that on YouTube. So I was like, okay, I'll go watch it, and that's a pretty intense show.
Super really intense. From the very first episode when they're on the train.
Yeah. So good. A great show. You should watch it.
Yeah.
It's just a great show.
It's really, really good. That was my like sort of introduction to him as an actor. I know like a lot of people were, and I'm not a big Game of Thrones guy, but a lot of people were saying how, it's cool that what's his name? Richard Madden and the character.
Oh, who played Jon Snow, right?
Yeah, Jon Snow. Yeah, that they had their reunitement. But that end credit scene for Eternals was so good.
And Blade is actually going to be now.
I'm so hyped for Blade.
Actually, be part of the MCU.
I think Blade is going to be. I think he might be in Morbius, or I think at the very least teased. Yeah, actually, okay, sorry, he's not going to be in it. I think that's a stretch, because his movie won't even come out, which is the reason why I don't also believe that Aaron Taylor Johnson won't be in Spider-Man No Way Home, because his film hasn't even been out, right? But yeah, I think he'll probably be in like a post-credit scene or something.
Do you think Blade's coming out next year then?
No, I don't think Blade's going to come out till 2023.
You think 2023?
I think it's starting production in 2022.
Man, bro, I wish it could come out tomorrow.
I know. 2023 will be a good year.
I can't wait to see him part of the MCU.
Yeah, no, same. And that's going to be a lot more of a grounded character compared to
it's like
compared to the other guys that they're bringing.
It's the same thing as Moon Knight, right? Like in that same vein. Where it's like it's now you're just dealing with earthly things. I think they still need to talk about that,
Yeah, they shouldn't completely neglect those grounded stories, because that's sort of what made the MCU so popular. Right. Obviously, and
that's why I think those characters are gonna be the fan favorites. I think like the ones that decide to keep on Earth, like Spider-Man and Blade and Moon Knight. Those guys like Wanda and Vision. Those guys are always gonna be the grounded guys. Same with like Strange too, but Strange is I think he's like going to be the new team leader, right? That's like a given.
I agree with that.
I think he's going to be the team leader. And
he's always going to have that little sort of cocky side to him, similar to Tony Stark.
And he's only going to deal with big things.
Yeah, but he does have that sort of leadership quality. I think like him, maybe like Captain Marvel, maybe even Spider-Man might be. But actually, getting into that, do you think he's going... Well, I've talked about this with you before off camera, but do you think he is going to continue his run in the MCU? Do you think they're going to sign a new contract? Tom Holland, yeah. Or do you think that this film, being No Way Home, is going to sort of be the segue to him leaving the MCU properly and going exclusively to the Sony universe? Or do you think they'll meet in the middle and he'll bounce in between both universes?
What I think is we're getting is like one combined universe. I think that's done. I don't think what Doctor Strange did is going to be an easy thing to fix. I don't think it's going to be fixed in this movie at all.
Yeah, I agree.
This is what I think what we see in the movie is what we're going to get, and I don't think it's going to change. So in terms of characters and stuff like that, it makes the most sense that, and I think in the contract too, it's that this is going to be the end of Spider-Man. So there's not. I don't think there's gonna be any other more like solo Spider-Man movies.
He has one more film on his contract, but it's not a solo film. I believe it's a film where he can appear
right?
somewhere else. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll make it, though.
Yeah. So I think they're going to finish up. I think they're giving it the Iron Man and / Captain America treatment, where I think this is actually the more like Captain America treatment, where the first 2 movies are solo movies, and then the third one is like a big one, and then this is the big one. Right, this was
being Civil War in a way,
Yeah, so this is this is the Civil War of No Way Home, right?
That's very interesting. I didn't think of that way.
So I think the No Way Home is gonna be like him dealing with everything, and now it's not small world anymore, because the other 2 movies were kind of smallish. This one is not small. This one is okay. We're gonna go on a bang, and then once Spider-Man is done in this movie, he's just gonna show up in the MCU like how Iron Man and like how Captain America do. They're just gonna show up.
So you believe he's going to be in the MCU for the very foreseeable future?
Yeah, for the foreseeable future, I think he's going to be part of the MCU and whatever Sony has planned.
I actually agree with that, and I didn't think of that way. That's a really good example using Captain America because he had those 2 solo films, pretty self-contained.
Yeah.
Like, there was, obviously you had some Marvel characters like Black Widow being in Winter Soldier, but then you're right, in that 3rd film, they had a bunch of other, heroes involved, and it was a big, grand scale film that introduced a lot of other characters as well, like, Spider-Man being one of them, and Black Panther. So, I agree with that, actually. I think that's a pretty good point. But I think we're going to put a button on the MCU talk. I think we've gone on for that for a pretty long time now. But we just wanted to cover and give our thoughts on the No Way Home trailer.
Stuff, yo.
No, I love talking about it.
It's something that we've watched for like 10 years, and it's cool.
Yeah.
There's like so much information that we know about, right?
Yeah.
And it's cool to theorize about the future, right? I was thinking about like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when they announced like the
that's really
Avengers
cool to think
movie.
about, yeah.
Like back then I didn't know much, and I was like, bro, I'm excited to see Avengers, and I would think like, bro, when Endgame comes out, or I didn't know the title.
Well, at the time it was like Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, so
and then look where we are now.
Exactly. When I was thinking about Infinity War Part 1 and 2 when they announced it on that timeline, I was like, bro, like I'm gonna be 18 when that comes out.
Yeah, I know.
I was like,
that's crazy, man.
Old. And I'm like 20, turning 21. I'm like, bro, it's crazy.
Bro, by the time the next like Endgame comes out, we're gonna probably be like 30.
Yeah,
we're either gonna be like late 20s or like early 30s, like 32 or something.
Crazy to think.
Yeah, that's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, my question is like thinking ahead. They're clearly going big with the MCU.
Yeah,
like I know I just said we're gonna stop talking. This is the last thing, but so once they go to like Galactus, like what do they do after something like that? Like where can they go? You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's still more story to tell, obviously, but how much bigger can they go past that?
I don't think it's gonna go up. I think it's gonna go wide. I think it's.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think they're just gonna go like Fantastic Four and X-Men and all these guys.
That's a good point.
And I think they're gonna just, bro. It's gonna be crazy to think in 10 years. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's gonna be crazy to see how big the universe gets.
And they already got it planned, man. Bro, I'm sure Kevin Feige has the roadmap planned to like 2029 or something, or 2030.
It's just weird. It's a weird thing to think about that he already has those. He just planned it, and it's probably gonna happen. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy to think what they're gonna do next. I think I think so far the only thing I can think about past what we just got announced today on Disney Plus, or a couple days ago on Disney Plus today, it's just the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. They need to do that. It's like a no-brainer. They have the IPs. They have to use them. It's like you kind of have to use them.
I really hope they do not recycle, Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman. I really hope they don't do that.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
Like you said, they have the IP.
Yeah.
They have the properties.
Do it right.
Do something completely new. Or like get a new Wolverine. We all love Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
But like he's been doing this character for damn near 2 decades.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's time they just start clean.
It's just gonna be weird to see. Like, I think they're not doing X-Men for a while because they just did Eternals. So if anything, like maybe 2025, 2024.
That's what I was thinking
we're
too.
We're gonna get a Fantastic Four movie, and that's what I want. That's what I want to see.
And John Watts is directing that too, which I think is a very good choice.
Fantastic Four. I am so excited. That's like one of my favorite teams, like the families. My favorite family. I think that's like
and I believe it'll be done right this time.
Yeah.
After so many failures.
Crazy to think what we'll see the next years. I can't even imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I can't wait. No, like I know you prefer the grounded characters, but for me personally, like I prefer the more cosmic characters. I like where they're going, and I'm not saying you don't.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like seeing like crazy shit happening too. Though.
Yeah.
Like I do like that's why I like the second Captain America the most out of any MCU is because it felt like a spy movie and all that stuff that everyone else says, but it's because of the grounded stuff. But I do love when they go crazy, especially Doctor Strange stuff. Like I love Doctor Strange. He's one of my favorite.
Well, kind of like what you mentioned. I don't think there is going to be a happy ending in No Way Home. I think things like there might be immediate resolutions, like he might defeat some of the Spider-Man villains from the other universes, but overall I think things are still going to be fucked up, and I think that's going to directly lead to Multiverse of Madness.
And I think at the end of Multiverse of Madness is the conclusion of the melted universes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I really got to give like the MCU credit, like coming off of such a big high with Endgame. Yeah. A lot of people would expect them to sort of fall off and have like, you know, a sort of decline period. But in my opinion, I think they're just, you know, they're going up. I think they're just growing.
And it just helped.
Yeah.
With COVID coming.
Yeah. People got more time to actually sit down and watch stuff. But all right, I think there we will conclude the MCU talk. Now we're going to get into some more grounded and real shit that's been going on in the world. We're going to talk about COVID, and we're just going to share our thoughts on what the pandemic has done to society and the people and ourselves, and we're just going to sort of share our thoughts on that. I got about 8 topics we're going to get through here. So what do you think the implications that COVID has had on people's mental health overall?
Mental health?
Yeah, mental health.
I think it's overall, I don't know. It's hard to say specifically, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, everybody's different, but I'm saying like for the most part, like your general impression.
For the most part, what I can say is that people, it's a hard thing to think about, but I think it's negative for most people, right? Like I spend a lot of my time inside my house, right? It's been a thing I've been doing since I was a kid. I'm an introvert. I like staying inside my house, and I don't really leave my house unless I have to, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm used to it. So from day one, right, when COVID came out, I was used to the idea of just staying inside my house, and I thought it was pretty cool. All I had to do was stay home. I get money from the government for being a student, right? Mm-hmm. I had my video games, I had my food, I was fun, right?
You had everything to keep you like entertained,
right? And I had because I was worried about COVID concerns, but I knew if I invited my friends over, like there's bubbles, and I knew who was in my friend group, and I made sure they didn't go hang out with anyone else I knew, right?
Yeah, we were all very careful. I remember that,
right? And so I still had access to my friends, but for those who've never lived that life before, who've never just been more of an indoor type person, like extroverts mostly, to be for them to like adjust to a life where they're just mainly inside and not going to multiple places, it's a hard thing, for anyone, and like that may weigh heavy on them. They might get sad not being surrounded by people, and for the most part, I think how a lot of people do tend to spend majority of their time inside. Mm-hmm. Now, see, I was used to it. I think Nick was kind of used to it too, right? Yeah. We played so many video games when we were younger, and we're not that old. We're not that much older, right? Like Nick's 21, I'm 20. I'm turning 21 later this year. But back when COVID came out, we were just like, I was just 19 and stayed with Nick. He was just 19. He was just 20 at the time, sorry. Yeah. He just turned 20, and I was 19. And we didn't really think much of it when we first saw it, right? Mm-hmm. And we got pretty much used to it, the idea of staying inside, like we just play video games.
I'll never forget, not to interrupt you, but I'll never forget when shit actually, like I realized like this is fucking,
it was like Jack Asher.
This is real. Yeah. This is for real. Like this isn't like something that's going to go away in a couple weeks. Jack Asher's.
We were at Jack Asher's. We were sitting at the bar. We were sitting at the bar, all of us, and they have like this part of the table that kind of sticks out and wraps around. And
they got like all the different TVs kind of all connected, just forming one big TV.
And we're all sitting around the bar, and we look up, and we just see like, oh, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, or Rudy Gobert has been tested positive for COVID-19, and like 2 minutes into the game, they cancel it and it's over.
It was like a domino effect.
Yeah,
we saw across news platforms. This league just shut down.
Yeah,
NBA is shutting down. Like, people are gonna get their tickets refunded. Let alone we don't realize the season's gonna be canceled for like 6 months.
At the time, I could think about two things: like, shit, this is happening, and two, I'm dead broke. That's all I think about was like my money situation and COVID.
We were all broke, man.
Dude,
we're all broke now. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, it's facts. Yeah, but even back then, like it was just crazy to think. It was like my priorities were much different back then.
Yeah.
Right. It was like kind of like a week to week thing, just school and going out. Like what back like a year, 2 years, a year ago or a year plus now, right?
For the pandemic, yeah. So basically almost 2 years.
Yeah. So back then, like. My what I thought about my next day was pretty much just school, applying for jobs, and that's it. And now it's like kind of the same, but but during COVID, it wasn't the same at all. COVID was like, when is this gonna end? When can I take my mask off, or like when do the vaccines come out, or when is everything back to normal? And that's what I thought about during COVID. And look, see, I was able to cope with those thoughts. Right, because I was used to being by myself alone, and those who are not used to being by themselves alone, especially my parents and stuff, like they don't like being inside, and they have to get used to the idea of being inside, which at first they did not like a lot, and over time they came to like getting used to it. But for me, it was easy. I didn't really have that tough of time, and I did have opportunities where my friends did come over, and we were able to like hang out, watch a movie, just relax or whatever. It was nice, and I didn't really have any like tough times. Actually, you know what? I did some days where I didn't see my friends for like 3 weeks was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think last year during around this time, Canada went into like an actual lockdown, like another lockdown. I think that one was pretty bad.
The lockdowns were rough.
Yeah, because
the lockdowns were rough in Canada.
It was also so dark outside. Every day was. At 4 p.m. it was pretty much dark, and when I would wake up, I would see sunlight for maybe 3 hours, and that would be it.
Well, that's the thing. I read a study that Canada apparently is like one of the top leading countries in like mental health, like disorders and mental health, or mental illness rather. And I think a big contributing reason to that is because of the changing seasons so much in our country. Yeah. Like when it gets winter, it's like dark out by like 4 p.m.
It's dark right now.
It's literally like getting dark right now, and
it's 4, right?
Like in the summertime, it's great. The sun's up to like 9, but as soon as you hit like November, it's such a drastic change, and it could really fuck with your mental. I mean, seasonal depression is a real thing, and that can really fuck with your mental health.
That's why Vancouver, right, has a lot of like suicide attempts.
Exactly, and you got to think that was a problem before the pandemic.
Yeah.
But now that people were forced to actually stay inside, not only are they dealing with things like that, but then also they're being forced. I say forced, it's the rules, it's public health guidelines, but they had to stay home all day, so that can be difficult.
So like overall though, like for the most part I think it was a negative impact.
Absolutely.
You could flip it though. I mean, some people could be more introspective and humble, and maybe they change themselves.
We'll actually get into that. I have a topic related to that.
Do you think it was positive or negative?
So what do I think? I mean, I kind of agree with you. I do believe it's for the most part really affected people's mental health. Like it's had some effect on me. Now, obviously we hung out a lot. We had a lot of fun times. We went on some road trips.
Yeah.
But it really kind of made me feel like my life was on hold. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people can probably relate to, because I know a lot of people were probably at points in their lives during when the pandemic first started and the lockdown started to happen. They were probably reaching great success, and they might have lost their job, and that was sort of the case with me in terms of I had a lot of goals and I had a lot of things I wanted to accomplish, but because of COVID, it just felt like it put my life on hold. And what it did to me was there was many times where I just felt lost during that year, because I felt like I had no direction, no goal that I was aiming towards. I was just waking up every day in paying attention to news, which is like the worst thing you could do, especially during this pandemic, is to just constantly watch the news and hearing, this variant has killed, this X amount of people today.
That's what we talk about, like in our group chat. Like, I just put it in the chat, like, yo, like, have you seen the amount of cases today? Like,
I know, and that's like one of the worst. It's like when you get sick or something and you look up your symptoms on Google and it tells you you're dying of cancer, and so it's sort of similar like that. I was on the internet way too much, just paying attention to negative stories, and that's pretty much all I was surrounded by in my news feed. So when you're just being consumed by that and you have nowhere to go because of COVID, it can definitely be taxing on your mental health. It's overall, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like I said, I did have a lot of free time on my hands, and free time could be good and bad, because we've talked about this. We're both people that we think a lot, right? And when I have too much free time on my hands, which is the case last year, sometimes I just sit there and I just think, right? And I could just drive myself, into an oblivion, you know what I mean? And just thinking about, I could be thinking about good things, or I could just be thinking about how I'm not doing anything in life, and it can sort of get daunting. And I guess that will kind of transition us to the next topic. I think in general, people, this has a lot to do with mental health. I think the effects of COVID, it's just really made people like nervous to leave their house. Yeah. And, I'm not going to say borderline like argophobic, or is it agrophobic or argo? I'm not sure. It's the one where you stay inside your house and you don't want to leave, right? Yeah. I mean, there's obviously people that struggle with that, but there's a lot of people that, love that we know personally, that love to go outside and that love to, be social, and the COVID has really scared them into, and rightfully so. I mean, it's done that, to me, to a degree, but it's really made people just not want to leave their house. And what the problem with that is people need human interaction, right? Like, it's just, it's who we are. And who I really feel bad for? I really feel bad for kids, and for really young, like, we're still adolescents, but I feel bad for really, really young children, because they need that social interaction more than ever. When they're in elementary school, that's how they build their foundation. That's how they build these, memories and meeting kids. And now they're stuck to, staying home. And I feel like kids are really going to struggle with that. I mean, I'm sure they already have been struggling with that, but people in general need social interaction. But I feel like young kids and high school students are really going to struggle with that. Like, I mean, let's put it this way. You're having prom and you're having graduation from your home. Yeah. Like, I couldn't imagine that.
Those kids who, like, the beginning 2 years, I think the kids who just started high school versus the kids that graduated during the COVID stuff, I think the guys who started had it worse. I think 100%, because now they're being reintroduced to high school, while they've kind of basically lost 2 years of high school, right? And it's crazy to think that they literally grew up without, like, going, like, beginning, remember those years, like, the first couple years of high school, and those are the building blocks of, like, kind of figuring it out. And those kids are going halfway into their, like, full years, actually going in campus. Same with those kids who are going into university or college the first 2 years, and they've only been online. Like, it's going to be a weird adjustment. And what you said, those kids who are in elementary school, like, how they've changed their lives, even those kids who are going to kindergarten, like, how they changed their lives, like, they can't do any of that stuff anymore, or miss those 2 years, or kind of like building blocks, and very important for the kids to actually
building the foundation.
Building the foundation, right? And those kids actually learning and developing from all those things they're supposed to be learning those 2 years, and adjusting to that, right? I don't know. It's effective, like, I don't know. It's how it's kept us inside. The fear of COVID is a very big thing, right? It's
a very big thing, and I struggled with that for a bit. There was many times where I told you guys I wouldn't come hang out, and it would be something over, like, one of you might have gone to the wrong gas station or something. Like, I really until I got vaccinated, and I felt, that sense of, safety and security for me personally. We'll get into the vaccines and stuff like that, but yes, I am vaccinated. Until I got my vaccine, I was just very uncertain and very, very overly cautious about, people around me, and not obviously not just my own safety, but also my family's safety. I would never want to put somebody in my family in harm's way, just like you wouldn't want to do the same either.
My mom has diabetes. Right? And like, one of the concerns, like, one of the things I think they said online the first couple times when I heard about COVID was that you really don't want to bring inside your house, especially if you have, like, a person in your household that has, like, an underlying disease or like symptoms or whatever. And my mom is, like, candidate, she can't.
An immune compromising.
Like, she literally, like, she can't get COVID. So I was concerned about that. So when I were inviting my friends, like, I I did a soft vet on them. I checked them up a little bit. I asked them if they've been anywhere. I had nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I don't remember asking my friends to tell me specifically where they've been in, but
I
did try and I did make sure if you're gonna come to my house, make sure you haven't been anywhere that I wouldn't want, that I've never been to, right? And I was very scared of getting COVID because COVID sucks. I think I did get it once, but when I got it,
I remember you got it. Yeah,
so I think I don't know what variant because I don't know what the variant was, but when I got it, I literally just stayed inside. I did not leave my house. I just for the 2 weeks I didn't do nothing at all. And when I was sick, this is the first day that I was actually sick, and the rest of it I was fine. It was more of a recovery thing. Was the first day couldn't do anything. It was my body got cold, and I had to stay under my sheets, and then I got really warm, took my sheets off. It was I couldn't stay a normal temperature. I was really sick. I was not feeling well at all. And then I think the worst part about it was what it left me with is I already have asthma, and now it's worse, a little bit worse. I wake up with phlegm in my chest, and I have to cough, just take my pill every morning. That's the worst part of it, I think.
That's fine. Sorry about that, guys. It's fine. Just keep going.
COVID is a big thing for me. I think I'm kind of like Nick here. I'm kind of cautious about getting the actual disease. It's a scary thing.
And we're back. So where were we?
COVID.
You're talking about.
I think I'm under the camp where I was pretty scared by COVID, and I didn't really want to leave my house. And it just gave me more of an excuse to play video games. That's pretty much it. So it was a benefit for me, to be honest. Yeah, it's weird. It's a benefit and a positive that I was able to stay home because of COVID.
Yeah, there's pros and cons. Yeah. Obviously, I feel terrible for all the families that, for all the people that lost their mothers or some people that lost their kids and their parents and their grandparents or just people that they love to COVID like that. That's terrible. And you also got to think of all the people that are in school, going to school, I feel like there has to be a sense of uncertainty because not really as much now, but last year, kids would be in school and people would be in school for a month, and then, a month later you would be told, you'd be yanked out and say, oh, never mind, you're going back to online. So there's really no certainty of how long am I really going to be in school. I just did strictly online, but yeah, that's sort of just my take on that. But we're going to transition into the next topic, and it's here we go. Yeah, so how long until you think that we aren't going to be required to wear masks inside establishments? How long do you think until that happens?
Honestly,
sorry, before you get in, I know that when you're in a restaurant, when you sit down, things like that, obviously, but I'm saying when you walk in, you just don't have to have your mask on. That's what I mean.
I think it's maybe, let's say honestly, only when I think there's only certain conditions have to be met. I think the first one is 95 or something, 90 plus at least. COVID or not COVID? COVID vaccination.
A COVID vaccination rate.
So that should be the rate, I think, before we even discuss the idea of taking masks off, because it is the most effective way to stop the transmission of COVID. I think it's been proven. Sorry, regardless of whatever stuff you've seen online, maybe I don't know who you've watched, but you can find this actual medical information saying those N95 masks that the proven
the N95. There's a lot of shitty masks that we've seen videos of people blowing out fire in their lighter through their mask.
But the actual masks, the ones that people should be getting, the N95 ones, those ones actually stop you from getting COVID, because it's not to protect yourself, by the way, it's to protect others. That's the big thing you're doing here.
That's more or less what it's for,
right? That's what a lot of people don't get, is you're not protecting yourself, you're just protecting others, and which is in turn, if they're wearing the mask, it protects you, right? So
exactly.
You want everyone
so it's a win-win,
to do it, right? You want it to be everyone has to do it. So what year I would say, I don't know, maybe 2 years from now, maximum or minimum, sorry, or it's not even ever. Maybe it's just gonna be a thing from now on.
You think so?
I think from now on, it's just gonna be a thing that people just wear masks.
I personally think 2 to 3 years, kind of like what you said. I know. I do believe at some point we will.
I'm a little bit less optimistic when it comes to everyone getting the vaccine, because I still think with them lifting the certification, I don't know, they're planning on doing lifting the certification early next year or first quarter of next year. And if they're doing so, there's going to be no actual requirement of certain people wanting to get the vaccine. So there's no point for some people to get the vaccine. So I do think that the vaccination rate's not going to reach that high.
I think if we can just get enough crowd immunity, I think that's the term.
That's crowd immunity, yeah.
I think if we can get enough crowd immunity, I think eventually we can get to the point where we don't have to wear masks, because now we're also hearing there's booster shots that are coming now too. In fact, my dad is actually going to get his in about a week. So
we already need a booster shot, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about things like the flu shot, you got to get that every year, right? So.
Well, I don't get my flu shot every year though.
You don't have to get your flu shot every year, but there's people that do.
But you already it makes sense to get another COVID shot. I would do that. To be honest, I'm an easygoing guy. I don't really care that much when it comes to the politics of medical science. I think I'm gonna trust the doctors. That's pretty much it.
Exactly, and that's kind of how I stand. But we'll get into that a little bit more. Could these new variants further the length of the pandemic? Like, for example, I just heard of some new variant the other week. I forget the name, but I feel like every couple months we're hearing about some new form of COVID that travels faster and takes form faster in people's bodies and transmits easier.
I think depends if it does mutate into something that we literally don't have any. Because we know the core strand, we know what's called the enzymes. I don't know.
Yeah.
We know the actual makeup of COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long was it? I think it was a couple months after COVID locked us down. They were able to single out the actual COVID strain. They were able to figure it out. So the actual structure in DNA, whatever. I don't know the actual terms, but I think they actually have it. I think they actually are they have the tools to, regardless of what it evolves to. I think they can, in a matter of time, they're going to be able to combat it.
Just said another one. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it.
I think they're just gonna figure out a way. Regardless, I think they are, because of what we've seen already. There's been 2 forms of variants from the first one that evolved, and I do think it's maybe, I don't know how many months from now, but eventually it's gonna evolve into another variant and another variant and another variant. It's just gonna keep on evolving. I think this is something that's gonna live within the world, and it's going to be part of our society for decades. I honestly think it's not going away. It's going to be it's going to be oh, you got COVID, I'm staying inside. I think it's just something that's going to be living around. It just can't go away. The infection rate, how fast it's able to multiply itself and infect someone, it's insane. I don't think it's equivalent or a little bit less or more than the flu, right?
Yeah.
It's around the flu's infection rate numbers. And if it's that popular, it's not going away for any time, bro. It's just not leaving the world. Sadly enough, it's the truth. So, masks off, I think it's going to happen. I don't know. It might well. I'm leaning towards it's going to happen, but realistically, who knows? Because of, what the question was, do you think there's going to be other variants? And I do. And if there are going to be more variants, I think the less likelihood of us taking off our masks. Because
absolutely,
more variants means more types of vaccine shots, and what if it just evolves into its own thing? I don't know if it actually can, but who knows, man? It's just a crazy.
But I really agree with a lot of what you said towards the end. I think COVID is going to definitely be around for a long time. It probably will never go away, right? We're going to have vaccines to combat it, obviously, but I don't think we're ever going to really find a cure, at least not for a very, very long time. But I think that as a society and with this, the advancements in science that we have, I think we will eventually be able to just live amongst it, function, with it in our lives, and it always being a health hazard that we just will eventually just have to be cautious of. But we will have the necessary, health.
Yeah, the advancement of technology is insane.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll end up getting other forms of medicines where maybe one day we won't even have to get a booster shot, and we'll have one final shot immunity type thing.
They'll just scan you or something.
Literally.
So overall, is this pandemic even close to being over?
Yeah, I think it's kind of close.
You think so?
Of pandemic, because when you declare, what is it when you declare a pandemic? I don't even know what the actual.
I don't know what the requirements are. It's something on the World Health.
But I think once it's like 3/4. I think that's a good, reasonable like statement. It's like 3/4 done, right? We're just coming off of a recovery phase of like what's happened, so we're just gonna recover, of what we can. We're gonna push everything aside and try and fix our errors, especially if you're gonna get political, the American financial system right now is very much in shambles. You got like a lot of bad housing in Canada, very bad housing where a lot of people are not even able to purchase houses because of the insane asking prices of these properties, right?
Especially in the GTA.
GTA, like in the areas that we live, right? It's just crazy. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed and settled, and this year was the most inflation they've seen in a very long time in the economic world, right? And it's gonna be weird to see how we move on from this point. The minimum wages are raising, everything else is changing. Things are changing to accommodate what we've lost in these 2 years, right? Trying to make up for it. It's gonna be a weird time to see, what's gonna exactly happen, like from the aftermath. So I think once we're done, where everything is, once I feel like everything's settled in and we're fixed, pretty much everything that's been broken down during these past 2 years, that and only then I'll be able to say, okay, yeah, we're kind of done.
I personally think we have 2 more years of the pandemic. Yeah. I don't know why I just did this. Yeah, but I believe like anywhere from 1.5 to 2 years.
And I think this is going to be the longest stage, because now the ones who are getting COVID are just going to be the unvaccinated people, right? And maybe obviously like a few.
There's going to be some outliers.
A few of the vaccinated.
Because the vaccine isn't a cure. Which we all know that for the majority.
Yeah, it's 95%, right?
Yeah.
And it's just going to be like these next couple of years of just us fixing everything. Like what you said earlier, like we did technically miss 2 years. We did, right? And that's not a simple thing. That's a big issue. That's like a big thing. And there's been a lot of domino effect type of things, right? Like you see it online, the ports in America.
So can you kind of just finish explaining what you're referring to with the cargo ships? Yeah. So like because of the influx of so many people trying to order stuff online and no one really going in store. A lot of ships ended up like there's a lot of movement of inventory, right? Through ships and like people is buying things off Amazon and so I think that across the world. So. Yeah, across the world. So I think exactly what happened was in US like the ports, right, where the ships come in. And because there's so many ships coming in, I think they ended up like blocking it off, or there's basically a traffic jam in the ocean. Yeah. With all the cargo ships, and due to all that stuff happening, like a lot of people are not getting their products, food's getting spoiled, people on the ships are not getting enough food and stuff like that, and some companies are even contemplating taking helicopters to go get their product and bring it back. That's so fucked. It's just crazy, bro, how the world's changed because of COVID, and even now, like the ripple effect of it, right? Crazy. So, are there any silver linings to take away from this pandemic? I think, personally, speaking on my personal, experience with COVID, I learned a lot more about myself, my own morals and values, like how I view the world, and some open conversations I partook in, and you got to take the good with the bad, and to dwell on COVID, I think is a little bit of a bad way of looking at it, It affected everyone, it's not like a solo thing, obviously it infected more people than others, but, every person was affected by this, like more, some people just had more of an intense, maybe experience with COVID, but regardless, you gotta make the best out of a bad situation. And, exactly. I think silver lining, I think there was a silver lining, a lot of people had to adapt to, I guess, the world of technology, right? The advancement of actual technology is even faster than we anticipated because of COVID, right? A lot of people spent a lot of time inside, and a lot more technology was being used, right? And even now, cryptocurrency, right? We talked about it before. It's a big thing now. I think because of COVID and people staying inside, crypto kind of accelerated, and it's going up and up and up. It's going up crazy, like back how it was back in 2016. It's just going nuts, and
yeah, I think in general there was a silver lining to it. Obviously, like, COVID is bad. You know, I'm not trying to take that away.
Yeah.
But I think it did kind of help us, realize some things and make advancements in other sectors and just kind of see how the world changed. You know, because there's always these big pandemics that happen. You know, the plague or like even the world wars. All these big events that happen. You know, yes, they're bad, but and good things end up coming out of it, right? Like advancements of technology and how we're all able to come together and figure out one thing. Like how fast the whole world was able to come together. Like especially like, you know, those big companies like Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. They were able to come together and make a vaccine, right? Which is immensely fast, right? They made it really fast, and sure they had the actual like COVID, whatever. I don't really want to get into the whole conspiracy theories, but they were able to make it fast, and I think they did a pretty good job. So
they were very responsive.
For silver lining, I think there was. I think there was a silver lining. Yeah.
I agree. I think there definitely was a silver lining, and by no means are we trying to underline the people that, you know, lost their jobs and lost their homes and lost family members. You know, my condolences goes out to those people. But with that being said, you can approach being locked down at home in one of two ways. You can either sit and ask yourself over and over, like, when is this going to end? And, you know, when am I going to get back up on my feet? Or you could take the approach like you mentioned and try and make the best out of the situation. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that I think did that. I know people that have started businesses. I know people that have started, you know, passion projects. I mean, myself, you know, the podcast, the birth of this, you know, passion project for myself has started during the pandemic. And like you said, I think a lot of personal growth has happened for many people as well. For myself personally, I mentioned earlier how we've had a lot of time to think, and through that thinking you can go to some dark places, but also some positive self-reflection has come from that as well. You know, I've asked myself questions of how can I be a better person? Are there, you know, self-destructive habits that I have that I probably shouldn't be continuing anymore? You know, should I eliminate bad habits like going to bed super late, which I'm still trying to fix, but sort of like I said, through a lot of growth has happened through reflecting on, you know, our past and our trials and our tribulations, and using this time at home possibly to your advantage. Like, you know, like I said, think about starting a business, maybe write that novel you wanted to write, things like that. But I know that to some people that could come across insensitive, because it sounds like I'm saying that the real problems that people are battling with aren't I guess validated, or I'm not trying to say any of that. Like, I understand, like I said, people are really, really struggling out there. And fortunately, I'm not struggling as much as other people are, but I recognize that they are, and I'm not in any way trying to undermine or be insensitive to those problems around the world. Now, next, what are your thoughts on people's decisions to get vaccinated or not?
I think it's just a personal thing, right? Obviously, like, I'm speaking from personal experience, but like, I just thought it was a good idea. You know, mm-hmm. I got the vaccine because I trust a lot of information I get from the government. You know, I'm just like that. You know, I don't really like challenging, but I do get why some people would think, you know, not to get the vaccine, you know, is not trusted or whatever. Like, they made it really fast. It wasn't FDA approved for a while, and now it is. But mm-hmm. before it was FDA approved, they thought, why isn't it FDA approved? You know, to each their own. You know, but me personally, I think getting the vaccine is a good idea. Mm-hmm. Right? It's just like, bro, like, I'm just gonna take the words of scientists and people who've worked on it for a very long time, you know, and I'm just gonna do it. I don't really have that much fear when it comes to the government tampering my COVID shots, right? So I'm pretty much on team vaccine here. So yeah, I think it's a good idea for people to get their vaccines. And it makes everyone, you know, the faster people get the vaccine, the easier it is for everyone to go back to their normal lives. That's the way I look at it. So
yeah, pretty much I agree. Like I mentioned earlier, I am vaccinated myself. But in terms of people who, you know, decide not to get vaccinated, I am not judgmental whatsoever. At the end of the day, who am I to tell somebody what to do with their body?
Yeah.
It's their decision. I may disagree with things they may say, but I'm certainly never going to judge somebody. I'm always going to have respect for somebody, even if they decide not to get vaccinated. That's sort of my take on that. But like you said, for my justification as of why I have been vaccinated, I personally trust the public health guidelines, and I personally trust the doctors and the nurses, and like you said, the World Health Organization and Pfizer. I trust the people that have dedicated their lives to the research and to the science behind behind vaccines and medical care and things like that. So I trust them, and that is my reasoning behind getting vaccinated. But like I said, I do know people that aren't vaccinated, and I have respect for them because I know that that's their opinion and that's how they feel. And I'm not going to tell somebody what they should or shouldn't do with their body, because at the end of the day, it's all our bodies, and we get to decide what we would like to do with them. And if you choose to get vaccinated, that's great. If you choose to not get vaccinated, that's also great for you.
Like, I get why people don't get the vaccine, right?
Yeah.
What I don't get is people who don't want to get the vaccine, but they don't have an actual reasoning. It's more or less like,
yes,
like, I will never push you to get, the vaccine. I might try and convince you or just provide you with some actual facts, if you want to.
I used to think like that, but personally, that's such a delicate issue that I really don't feel like you're going to change somebody's mind. So I don't really do that.
Yeah, but I've only had a situation maybe once or twice where I've had to talk to a friend that they're very stern on not getting the vaccine, but I like knowing why. I'm a nosy guy like that. I do like if someone tells me something, I do kind of want to know why or what. That's
fair, because you want to understand where they're coming from and their perspective. Yeah.
So I asked him, and he didn't really have an explanation, which is fine. I'm like, I get it. If you don't want to get the vaccine, I get it. I understand. I'm never gonna force you to get the vaccine. But sometimes it would be nice to actually have maybe a reasoning. Yeah. Just to sound more informed. And you should be informed. I think everyone should.
You should absolutely be informed.
Go
do
look
your
up
research.
The information that's provided through the internet.
Yeah, I'm only gonna get into. Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I'm only gonna get into a dispute about somebody. But like I said, regardless of a dispute, I'm not going to convince them to get vaccinated or not get vaccinated. But if I hear somebody denying tangible facts, things that exist, it's non-disputable, that's when I will object.
Speak your mind, right?
Exactly.
Because sometimes, bro, I hear some crazy.
I'm sure people listening have probably heard crazy shit themselves.
Stuff. And to be fair, I get it. When I hear something crazy like that, there's a part of me that kind of believes it. But if I pen on paper, dude, I can't. Yeah. I can't really go with that. I'm just gonna go with whatever I think is probably the right piece of information, and that's the same way a lot of people who don't get the vaccine think about it. Right? I'm just gonna stick with the information that I have, which is understandable. But my only thing is, bro, if you're gonna do something like that or refuse to get the vaccine, at least have some information that you're informed or whatever. You're not just doing it because someone else that you're an influencer that you watch is not doing it. That's why you're doing it.
Well, somebody that I really respect in that regard is Joe Rogan. Now, Joe Rogan, for those of you who don't know, he chose to not get vaccinated. But if you listen to him explain why he's not getting vaccinated, you can clearly tell he's done his research. He's, he takes the necessary vitamins to help his immune system, and he has his reasonings behind it that are actual facts and evidence. It's not just his thoughts and his subjective feelings. He's provided real tangible evidence to support why he believes that getting the vaccine for him is not the right choice. So I respect him in that regard. So overall, to answer the title of the episode, will life go back to normal at some point?
No.
I agree. I don't think so. I think
it's not going to go back to normal.
I think we've just come so far. Sorry, that's the wrong choice of words. I think we've been in this pandemic for so long. We've changed so many core foundational things about society. I just feel like it's too much to try and just go back to normal. Yeah. I feel like we'll eventually find a way to live with COVID safely, but even then, I don't think that life is going to go back to normal.
It's more or less, same thing. It's the same thing what you just said. I don't think it's gonna change. I mean, like, I do think what happened so far is gonna keep this, like, gonna stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
What, like, all the systems have changed. Sorry.
No worries.
I felt sneeze. Oh, I'm not seeing them.
Oh, that's the worst feeling when it's like just about to come.
It was at my nose, and I felt like I was about to.
Sometimes it just stalls. It just sits there, and it fucks with you.
It's a horrible feeling.
It just sits there. Ha ha ha.
Like sneezing, bro. The best part about sneezing is like the relief you get.
Sneezing is so satisfying, bro.
It's so satisfying, and it sucks that I just lost that opportunity to sneeze. It's so unfortunate. Yeah. Anyways,
the sneeze that got away.
What Nick said was true. I think he said is what I was gonna say. So he just summed it up. Was this not gonna go back to normal? What's changed has changed, and for us to like kind of phase it out right now, no, I don't see it happening. No. For years, we're gonna be wearing masks. We're gonna be telling our kids that we wore masks like for like however long we did. Since COVID's gonna be around for a while, yeah, it's gonna be. I just see it hard for us to go back to how the things were. I think we might phase out. You know, like small things might start going away, and eventually it'll be completely gone. And you know, it's just that time in history. But right now, no. For the foreseeable future, it's not going to change. Yeah. I think we're just going to have to accept the way it is, you know, and just move on and try to, you know, try and build a better world.
I agree. And I think things aren't even done fully changing. Like for those people that do believe that life will go back to normal, I think there's still a lot of things that are going to change before that even is remotely a possibility.
Yeah. I don't see us going like completely back to normal. Like the last time I remember was like 2 years ago. Like what I remember the world being is not going to be the same.
The only thing that like when I think of like what life was like before COVID, like a normal life, the first thing that I think about for some reason is Avengers Endgame. Yeah. And like that environment.
How that world was, yeah.
Yeah.
How everyone came and watched a movie. Became the highest grossing film. And it was for a reason because everyone watched it. And now like Shang-Chi getting what was it, like $100 million opening weekend or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, some big opening weekend, and it wasn't even close to the other weekends. Like this, and for them to be this excited is funny enough. It's funny. You know?
Like we're getting these opening weekends that for the COVID era, you know, if you will, are very like impressive. But for a normal everyday, you know, circumstance like we were living in, like we were seeing films opening like $500 million opening weekends, and like we're just, I don't know if we're gonna. I feel like we will probably see that again at some point, like but not for a very long time.
Like if Joker came out during the pandemic, like back in 2019, it had a budget of less than $100 million, and now and then it made $1 billion in the movie theaters, right? If that movie to come out, I don't know, it were to come out during COVID, it would not even come close to those numbers.
No.
To get $1 billion, bro. To get $1 billion is a big number for anyone.
It would obviously it would be profitable because the film didn't cost much to make. But I understand what you're saying. It definitely wouldn't. It might not even touch $6 million or $600 million. Sorry.
I think it would have just been like 300 or something. Yeah. You know, nothing crazy.
So they still would have made some money. Probably still enough to make a sequel.
Money enough for Joaquin. I think Joaquin is gonna stay as Joker. I think he might be another.
I think he is. I think him and Todd Phillips are already working on like the next script for the sequel.
Yeah, I don't think COVID's gonna change.
I could be wrong with that.
Yeah, I think the environment we'll live in is just the way it's gonna be for a while.
Yeah, I agree overall. I don't think things are going back to normal. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to cap off episode 11. Now, this is already the longest episode I've ever had, and I love doing these conversations, and I've mentioned in the past that I have spoken to people. I was going to have somebody else on for last week. I'm still doing that. That is probably either going to happen next episode or the episode after. I'm still working on that, discussing with him, but I love having guests on. I love having people on. It's nice to go, have some back and forth and sort of just have a good conversation. So, yeah, I think that's going to cap everything off, and I will see you on episode 12.
See ya.